And let's get to our interview. All right, tonight we're speaking with a member of the House of Representatives, who is a member of the House of Representatives representing Just South, Just East Federal Constituency, Honorable Dachung, Musa, Bagos, for discussion on the battle for presiding officers' jobs of the 10th National Assembly. Thank you very much for joining us tonight, Honorable. Thank you very much. It's good to see your face again.
Thank you, Jumoke. Good evening, Nigeria.
All right. First, congratulations on your victory at the polls. Tell us what factors aided your victory.
Yeah, well, we thank God. The victory gets back to the people. You know, the 2023 election is a quite different election in the sense that every vote was about the people. So in every aspect of the 2023 election, if you analyze it very well, you will see that all the votes really speaks out for the people. So if there is any issue anywhere, you should know that the voice of the people, it's being challenged to ensure that the people's voice really speaks at the end of the day. So you know the tsunami that came out at different levels. Because the 2023 election, I take it as the second NSAS. And I pray that all leaders that are in office, have been elected in office, should be able to do the right thing for us to avoid the third NSAS at any level.
So you've been re-elected despite the onslaught of the Labour Party in Plateau State. So it's important to ask you this. How did you do it?
Yeah, well, if you look at the elections, the Labour Party made a statement at the presidential, not in any of the National Assembly election, because the voters' intelligence identifying who they really want. So the Plateau people identified with the Labour presidential candidate, and they identified with their own political party at every level of the election in terms of National Assembly, Senate, and House of Assembly. So that voters' intelligence was very high. The voters' intelligence in understanding who the people really want was what played out. Although, because some people wanted to really look at, we want to go to Labour, like in my constituency that the Labour candidate did not come out to vote within the to campaign within the constituency, got almost 30,000 votes. So, which we know that some couldn't understand where to vote because they want to vote on. But we thank God that we won our election with 95,000 votes.
So your party, the PDP, also dominated other elections in the states, including the governorship election. Well, not many saw that coming. How were you able to defeat the ruling party in the state?
Yeah, sorry, come again. The earpiece dropped earlier.
All right. Your party, that's the PDP, also dominated other elections in the states, including the governorship election. And I said not many people saw that coming. How were you able to defeat the ruling party in the state?
Yeah, basically, knowing very well that the PDP, Plateau, we have always said, and we already know that Plateau is a PDP state. But not only that, because it's a PDP state, the outgoing administration of the APC did not really give the people that required dividends of democracy in terms of the economy, in terms of insecurity, in terms of giving enabling environment for business to strive, healthcare, education. Their rating was very low, and unfortunately, with a very high debt profile of almost 120 billion as of today. So these are issues that Plateau people weren't comfortable looking at infrastructure, that the infrastructural development in the state is very low, and so on and so forth. So understanding where we came from, that the Plateau people desired a change, a true change that will give them the true dividends of democracy in voting the person with the high personality of His Excellency, the Governor-elect, Barrister Caleb Mutfwang. So we believe that the PDP will really give Plateau people the roadmap to that desired dividends of democracy that we have all been yearning for, and especially keeping to our slogan of Plateau of our dream, keeping to our slogan of understanding the Plateau State is a home of peace and tourism. And when you're talking about peace and tourism, you can't just handle one area and thinking that you leave the other. So issue of tourism, issue of infrastructure needs to come into place. So we believe and we want to assure the Plateau people that the incoming administration will really look into those various areas to ensure and by making sure that Plateau people get the true dividends of democracy.
So as one of the young members of the House of Reps, how would you describe your experience so far?
Yeah, well, people still call me young member. I'm almost 50 now, with 6 children, and we have a lot of, with this administration, with this new election, we have a lot of young and younger people in the 10th National Assembly. But again, like I always say, that for you to be able to strive as a young person in every area, for you to be able to shake hands with elders, humility and loyalty need to come into place. It's not about how intelligent you are. It's not about what you know, but it's about loyalty and humility to be able to learn the process. The National Assembly is a very sacred assembly that it's enshrined within the Constitution. So it's about networking and understanding the tenets of the assembly and understanding how to be able to network to ensure that your people get the dividends of democracy in terms of lawmaking, in terms of constituency outreach, and again, your ability to go out for oversight to ensure that what is enshrined in the budget for your people truly gets to your people. So in the past 3 years, what has really guided me, it's our sense of humility among the young ones to be able to learn from leaders ranking. We in the National Assembly, we have someone that has been in the National Assembly from 1999. And knowing to the fact that we have 5th-timers, 3rd-timers, 2nd-timers, the ranking is very key in legislative business, even worldwide. So networking and learning from them is very, very key. Because if you want to go far, humble yourself. If you want to see far as well, be loyal.
So, I mean, the 10th National Assembly will be inaugurated in a few weeks from now. Well, I would like you to give us your assessment of the outgoing House of Representatives.
Yeah, it's fair in the sense that we have been able to achieve that which Nigerian people, especially through the electoral process. The constitutional amendment is ongoing, but looking at some of the major bills that have been in the Assembly for over 10 to 15 years that has not been able to pass, especially in terms of the PIA, in terms of electoral amendment, which since 2010 now we have the 2022 Amendment Act of the Electoral. So this has really understood the unity within the 9th National Assembly. Not that we don't have our own misunderstanding or on certain issues, but our ability to be able to come together to get these things done, it's very key. It's very key. As opposition, we have our own issues. As opposition, we wish that 1 or 2 of those issues could have been done in a different way. But the most important thing, collectively, what we need to bring to the book for Nigerians is one of the major key. Our issues from the opposition aspect, especially in the 9th National Assembly has been the issue of the debt profile of the country in terms of borrowing, the issues that we have in terms of tackling insecurity in the country, the issues that we've had in terms of be it the school feeding, and in terms of the issues of some of the intervention social packages that look. All these funds that have been spent, that have been appropriated, what is the impact so far? So these are issues from the opposition parties and opposition members. But by and large, us coming together to ensure that the nitty-gritty, to ensure that Nigeria running the country did not stop for 1 minute. So that has been one of the cardinal areas that we've been able to have a cordial relationship among ourselves.
So before we talk about your people, quickly, let me also get your reaction to why you think many Nigerians call the 9th National Assembly rubber stamp.
Yeah, well, from the opposition perspective and from the opposition framework, we have always said it as it is. And you know, everything about politics and interest is all about numbers. We will always have our voice heard, but the numbers will always have their way. So if the numbers have their way on some certain issues, it doesn't mean that us from the opposition did not voice out. We have voiced out on many issues. I can tell you that there are even some resolutions that did not pass on the floor because the opposition was able to network with even members from the majority party to look at it. This is not about party. This is not about what you want, but it's about the collective interest of Nigeria. And for instance, there is no member on the floor of the House of the 9th National Assembly that have not brought one motion or so that have to do with insecurity. So collectively, we have challenged government, the executive on issue of insecurity across party lines. Collectively, we have summoned the president on the House to appear before the House. Collectively, we have called for the removal of service chiefs at a point in time. Collectively, we have queried some loan application requests by the executive. So collectively, we have been able to do some. So as opposition, our voice should and have always been heard. But if some certain areas that because of the majority have their way, doesn't mean that we are rubber stamp at all at any other point. At the end of the day, let dividends of democracy get to Nigerians.
So talking about the dividends of democracy, now as a returning House member, what should your constituents expect from you this time?
Sorry, can you come again?
As a returning House member, what should your constituents expect from you this time?
The expectation is high. The expectation is high, I can tell you. Getting an overwhelming votes of 95,000, and out of those 95,000, there are dependents with a registered voters of over 300 and with a population of over 500,000. The expectation is very high, coming from a cosmopolitan constituency with different tribes and religion and so on and so forth, representing the state capital. The expectation is very high. And we are doing all that we can to be able to step up from what we have been able to do in the last, in the 9th Assembly. Thanking God that we came out as one of the top 5 overall with a high number of bills, legislation, and again, in terms of reaching out to our constituents with our true constituency projects, in terms of reaching out to our constituents in human capital development, in terms of reaching out to our constituents in making sure that they know what is happening within the National Assembly so that whenever there is a demand from our constituents, we'll be able to balance it. And you know, one of the major challenges that National Assembly members, legislators usually have, even from the state to the National Assembly, is that people don't count what you have been able to do in terms of lawmaking or motions. People want to see what you have brought to them on the table in terms of boreholes, in terms of roads, in terms of infrastructure, and so on and so forth. Unfortunately, the legislature have been turned to carry out to execute the activities of the executive. And that has pushed us to really interrogate what we have been able to appropriate to the executive in terms of healthcare, in terms of education, and in terms of infrastructure. And you know, with the high number of population we have as a people, if we don't start looking at industrializing this country, making sure that our budget has high component of ensuring that we have enabling environment for the executive to ensure that Nigeria is industrialized, with the high number of population of youths we have in this country, I don't see anywhere and any government that can and will be able to absorb the number of youths that get into the labor market every day. For instance, congratulations to Chef Hilda. She has made her mark. In as much as she's a graduate, today she is celebrated worldwide. But not just the celebration that we are celebrating her. What is the enabling environment that government will be able to ensure that Chef Hilda succeed as a chef in the country? What is the enabling environment that government will ensure that Bank of Industry or SMEs, Chef Hilda will be able to have the necessary support for her to be able to boost her business? So this is the challenge that a lot of youths are having in this country. A lot of talented youths. It's not just about having the certificate and go and work in government. How can they be able to have the enabling environment to start small businesses that will metamorphose and build into big industries? So that is the major challenge that as legislators we are looking at every day and talking to executive and interrogating and ensuring that the oversight and components of budget, that from the opposition perspective, that the executive ensure that Nigeria has an enabling environment. Take away the issue of insecurity. Look into the issue of power so that people will be able to say that, look, Nigeria has a conducive working environment, power is working, the healthcare system is there, we'll be able to reduce health tourism. So these are a lot of issues that the executive need to look into. But without effective oversight from the National Assembly, without the effective oversight ensuring that the ruling party of parliamentarians needs to understand that it's not just what we are talking from the opposition perspective, but ensuring that Nigerians feel the dividends of democracy.
Fantastic. So, Honorable Bagos, let's move to the tussle for principal positions in the 10th National Assembly. Looking at the unfolding intrigues, brewing disagreements, how will you describe the contest?
Yeah, well, from the opposition perspective, you know that as opposition we will not just sit down, and especially now having the numbers as greater majority, we will not just sit down and look at what the ruling party will do. We must be part of who become our presiding officers. If you recall, some weeks ago, we have put in our own demand that we are going to contest for the presiding officers. A committee of about 11 to 13 people were put in place calling for nomination among the majority minority to contest. And if I can recall very well, the closing date was yesterday midnight. None of the greater majority from the minority parties came out that they want to contest for the speakership or the deputy speakership. So, which means the minority party, the opposition, will need to sit down to engage with candidates from the ruling party. If none of us has indicated interest to contest for the speakership and deputy speakership, as of yesterday midnight, already machineries have been put in place in engaging those that are contesting within the ruling party, so that we'll look at it effectively and advise our members that, look, this is the way ongoing, because we need to have a speaker and a deputy speaker that will ensure the unity of the 10th House of Assembly across party lines, to ensure that it's not about the executive, but it's about the Nigerian people, to ensure that collectively, whosoever at the end of the day the minority support, we will be able to hold ourselves responsible, we will be able to be accountable to the working and doings of that minority, of that presiding officers that we brought in. And again, we will still have a voice. If you did not do well, we say, look, you did not perform according to our own expectation, we need to have a change. So these are issues that all of us were putting on the table.
So this is one question I've been asking basically all my guests, and I know that I will continue to ask these questions because Nigerians are worried, asking why is this race generating so much heat when it's not even a general election?
Yeah, okay, well, you mean why is the issue of the presiding officers generating so much heat?
So much heat when it is not a general election.
Well, why? You see, the National Assembly is a miniature Nigeria, is a small Nigeria. We are 360, representing over 200 million Nigerians, more than that. So the tension that you will see or you will find in trying to bring out our presiding officers is not about us, but it's about the people we represent. So we are the voice of the people. So whosoever will come in as the speaker, it is not just being the speaker, that the presiding officer will be the presiding officer of over 200 million Nigerians in terms of lawmaking, in terms of bringing the dividends of democracy to the people. So that is why you feel that tension of as if it's the general election. And again, why this time is different, the greater majority which we represent as opposition from the minority party, why it is different now, you are having 7 parties as part of the minority, and again 182. It clearly reflects the votes that came out during general election. APC got about 8 million votes. PDP got about 7 million, and Labour Party got 6 million counting. So if you check the vote of Labour Party, PDP, and other ANPP and so, you will get about 13 million votes. 13 million votes. And that of APC is just 8 million. So that 13 million votes represents the greater majority of Nigeria. So the tension will come more from the minority parties, because that is where the majority of Nigerians push out their voice. And that's why I always say that, look, the APC administration should look at, why they will always have pressure is that they are not the majority. They are the minority in terms of vote. The vote we have as majority is the vote that came out of the minority parties, 30 million people against 8 million people. So the APC government and administration should ensure that the dividends of democracy gets to 13 million people, not 8 million people that they got.
All right, so I've been speaking with Honorable Dachung Musa Bagos tonight. We're discussing the battle for presiding officers' jobs of the 10th National Assembly from different perspectives. We'll take a break and I'll be right back. Please stay with us.